My name's Martin Harvey. I'm a chiropractor here in Melbourne, Australia, and I'm also an expert on the influence literature. This is the fourth of a series of 7 tips, communication tips, to help you do better with your communication in your practice and grow your practice in 2016. So, a couple of the tips so far have spoken about one of the most important principles from the influence literature, which is you don't make people wrong. What I'm going to focus on today is a specific circumstance that out of all the communication workshops that I've taught, and I've spoken to hundreds of chiropractors about the challenges that they have in communication in their practice, and the number one most difficult situation that chiropractors have in terms of communication is when they have somebody who has a reaction to an adjustment. Somebody's come in for an adjustment and they feel fine, or else they feel pretty good. They have an adjustment, and then immediately afterward, or sometime following up from that, they feel really sore. And their experience tells them that the theory going on in their head is "you hurt me." Now, as chiropractors, I believe this is one of the situations that we screw up the most. And once you understand the influence literature, not only do you know why we mess it up, but you also can work out a really skillful, impactful, influential way of handling that situation. You see, the reality is if their experience says "you hurt me," the sort of things that we've tended to do in chiropractic where we say, no, I didn't hurt you, it must have just been your body getting used to working better. It's making them wrong for believing what they believe, and it then evokes something in the influence literature that they call confirmation bias. Confirmation bias is where somebody, if they're made wrong, goes looking for all the reasons that the other person's wrong. They go looking for the "you're just trying to cover your ass, you're just being defensive." That kind of stuff that actually pushes them further away from you, pushes them further away from continuing with care. So a yes and approach has 2 components to it. It's one of the most powerful strategies in handling a difficult situation like this. Now, I'm not going to go into a whole lot of background in the yes and approach and what it means and definitions and so on. If you want to know more, I'd encourage you come along to the communication workshop and you'll learn a lot of great stuff to help you in your practice. But for our purposes, the yes means you agree with them. And the "and" is that you add another perspective to it. You add another way of seeing a situation. So the way we'd handle it in this situation is say, look, I understand it must be really frustrating to have come in feeling okay and go out feeling really sore. Would it be okay if I explained what might have happened to you? You wait for the yes. Remember permission from a couple of days ago? You wait for the yes and then you proceed. You go, look, there's a couple of possibilities. This is something that we do see. We don't see very commonly, but it does happen. There's one possibility, and this is the yes. This is where you're agreeing with potentially what they're thinking happened. It's possible that we used a little bit more force than your body was ready for, and we may have stretched some of the soft tissue, some of the muscles and ligaments around that area of your spine. They're a bit irritated and therefore it's painful. So that's one possibility. And it's also possible that we've used exactly the right amount of force to get exactly the change that your body needed in that area of your spine, and it's all of a sudden working in a much better way, but a much more different way to what your body's used to. And that's also going to create some challenges. So that's going to be a little bit like when you start out at the gym and you're using muscles differently. So you can see there's those 2 scenarios. Would it be okay if I checked you out and saw what was happening and then worked out what we needed to do moving forward? So that's a yes and way of letting them be right and adding another potential explanation for their circumstance. Really important cue within that though, it has to be a yes and, not a yes but. As soon as it's a yes but, the but makes whatever they believe wrong and it screws the whole process up. So my tip for you for today is anybody ever has a reaction in the office, be ready with a yes and. The yes is where you agree with them, and is where you add a different perspective. Have fun with it. Love to hear how you go with these tips. If you want to join me January the 23rd in Los Angeles, in Orange County at the Hilton Hotel, details will follow immediately after this tip. Thank you.